came out good. Hi, everybody. Hi, Gary. How are you?
Your hair always looks good. I'm good,
I'm
Don. How are you?
I'm good. I'm hanging upside down right now. That's why my hair's sticking straight up like this.
Nice.
Yeah. Welcome to the Blair Witch Project, which is also known as my house. Which is almost... There is a light at the end of the Blair Witch Tunnel. Mm-hmm. We know how that movie ended, so stay tuned. Anyway, so Gary, I'm sorry, what are we talking about this week?
Well, this is a week past the election, so we're going to talk about that. But after our short little break right now, the little intro, I'm going to leave you with this little tease. That at the age of 62, which is what I am, there are two things that I haven't done in a very long time. But recently, I did one of them. And I'll leave that right there.
I don't know if I want to take a break or if I want to know.
I think you should take a break because you'll want to leave people with a little bit of anticipation.
Okay. All right. We'll be right back. Still looks good.
As always.
Oh, sorry. Welcome back to Don and Gary Doing 60. We're here to unwrap and unpack navigating the world at this age. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever amazing podcasts are found. We're on Instagram at Don and Gary Doing 60. We're on the YouTube channel. The kids are watching the YouTube. Everyone's watching the YouTube. We need you to watch the YouTube. And you can email us at donandgarydoing60@gmail.com. So, Gary, how are you?
I'm good. I started off with a little teaser.
Yeah.
And so I'll share with this, as I said, at 62, there's two things I haven't done in a very long time. And unfortunately, one of them I did recently.
Unfortunately.
Well, unfortunately, because I'd rather do the other, not this one.
Gotcha.
So... Here I go. First thing I haven't done in a very long time, I'll be honest, have sex.
So wow. Wait, you gotta prepare me for those. You can't just spring that on. We obviously did not rehearse this.
Very long time. Well, but I'm going to segue to the main topic. The second question, which actually ties into our main topic, is that I went out recently for dinner, felt fine. Went to bed, and about 2:30 in the morning, I woke up like, something's not right. I'm not feeling well.
Okay.
And I thought, well, just to be on the safe side, I'd better walk into the bathroom. And no sooner did that I
Yeah, I know. Was it out the front
V.
door or the back door?
No, front door.
Okay.
The big V. I was like, who does that at 62? I've not done that. I wasn't out drinking.
Everybody does that. Well, it doesn't have to be drinking, my friend.
I know. I mean, I guess it was something I ate that didn't agree with me, but I was fine the whole evening. Went to bed, went to sleep, but suddenly at 2:30 in the morning, it was like, I think I'm going to be sick. And I've not done that in a very long time.
Well, I have to say that this is a nice curveball you've thrown me with these two different things that we didn't talk about.
I mean, I would have preferred to do the other one and say, hey, guess what I did? But this kind of segues into what we're talking about today, because today is a week after the election.
Yeah, I would love to see how you're going to ease us into this after those first two.
Well, because I'm sorry, but after I heard the results, I wanted to vomit.
Well, okay. Got it.
No, I mean, we've been reading some articles. My reaction that day, actually, of the election, I didn't want to watch the news. I didn't want to listen to the pundits talk and read this poll and give their predictions. I just give me what the end result is. So I stayed away from TV all day. I went out, I went to a movie, I went to dinner, I got home, did not watch TV. But around 11 o'clock, I did turn on the news, and it's like, it's not looking in the direction that I would have preferred. So I went to bed, went to sleep, but around 2 o'clock in the morning, I woke up. I'm like, it's driving me crazy. So I turned on the TV at 2 a.m. And about 30 minutes later is when CNN called it for Trump. And so if you saw, like at 2:30 in the morning, I basically went on social media. I'm like, I'm out. And at least the feeling of the people I'm talking to is it was a big shock, and we will talk about it and the reasons why. I just need to disconnect.
Yeah.
You know, it's another version of pulling the covers over the head. I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to see anyone, and I'm fine. You know, I mean, those are the results, and the people voted, and that's what they want. And so, you know, we have to. This is now something that we all have to, you know, accept and move on. But how is your take?
Well, kind of the same thing, because I already told everyone I would not be watching the results as they came in, because I, like you, find that sometimes the media just draws out and draws out and draws out different little factoids to say where things are leaning, why things are going this way, why they're going that way, when we all know the Electoral College ultimately decides, and
Right.
it's not a popular vote that decides the presidency, but also that there's so many opinions, all of them can be so negative, even on either side of the election. So
Right.
it can be really negative. And for me, I have to say, like you, I've kind of walked away from television news, especially the cable news networks, because again, I know some people that have it on 24/7, either
Yeah.
Fox or CNN, and for me, it's just that's way too much. It's also it's just too jarring to continue hearing a story about negativity, which is, I think, the general message. But back to your question, I mean, I do know a lot of people. There was a lot of, as I said, wringing of hands. There's a lot of panic. There was a lot of discussions about leaving the country. There was a lot of very, I would say, high emotion reaction to what took place. And I, like you, was very... I asked my question to myself about whether I need to be on social media right now at all, because again, even on any form of it, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, anything, you can see messages coming through
Right.
on both sides being negative, and it's too much, and I don't want to be a part of it.
Right.
So that's where I was at.
Yeah. So I ended up staying away from. I would turn the TV on, but watch anything other than news. But as I was channel surfing, and you'd catch a snippet of something, what turned me off was it was all the blame game. What did she do wrong? What did they do wrong? What did we? And I'm like, how is that productive? You know, I pointing the finger at this is the reason why. Like, I don't find that productive at all. I will go back to the 2016 election when it was Trump versus Hillary Clinton. And what I recall thinking after he won that time was, I get it. People are pissed. And he's not a politician, and they're tired of the Clintons and the Bushes and then 8 years of Obama, and where they're not feeling heard, they're not, their lives are not as good as they hoped it would be, given all the promises that they were given to vote for this candidate. So I got it. It's like, you know what? This guy's not a politician. He's going to rattle the cage, and so I understood it. And in a similar vein, what I'm hearing in this round is that in the case of Kamala, what they were message they were conveying is the economy's good, this is better than it was, but the people that were most in favor of voting for Trump, it's like, I'm not feeling that. You say the economy is good, but my life isn't any better. I'm still living paycheck to paycheck. So I think that a lot of people were not feeling heard. They were feeling, kind of left by the wayside. And so why do we want to continue? They said, one of the comments she made when she was on The View, when they said, how is your presidency going to be different from Biden's? And she said, not that different. Well, if you weren't happy under Biden's reign, then why would you continue with 4 more years of the same?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of one of the things that came out of it. And I'll let you talk, and I've got some other
Yeah,
stuff.
but no,
to
that's
talk
okay
about.
because I was thinking the same things. Where I mean, I was relieved when I did see that Biden was going to step down and allow Kamala to run for the presidency. That was very invigorating at the time. But I agree with you. But here's the thing: other than her being a woman and a woman of color, what I'm a little tired of is a whole bunch of old white guys being the ones that are usually up for the presidency in the first place. Old white guys.
Yeah.
Trump's what, 78?
78.
78. Biden
Yeah.
was older than that. Kamala was
Yeah.
younger, so I believe she was a breath of fresh air. And I do agree with you. The thing that also was concerning with me was I saw how much of the country had voted red. And I
Yeah.
also even took a little bit closer look at how much of California actually voted red.
Oh,
And
that I
it
didn't
was-
see. What was
Yes,
that?
it was quite. I didn't get a statistic, but it's quite high, and it's
Yeah.
not what you would think. I would think, completely blue. Not the case.
Ah.
So there were plenty of places that were voting for voting red. But also one little tidbit that I found today was that, I go back and forth to Palm Springs quite a bit.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of local ballot initiatives that were passed, and one of the alarming things was that there was an appeal to repeal the ability for same-sex marriage to take place in the county of Riverside, and it passed. It was approved, so it can actually go forth to challenge the legitimacy of same-sex unions.
Wow.
So there, and again, we think Palm Springs is very LGBTQ plus positive, which it is, but it's also a very large county with a lot of different diversity groups inside of that county.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's a lot of people who are older, and surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, it is very red. It's very conservative there. So I think, I know we're going to talk about a lot of things too, but that was one of the surprising things to me. In the country, of course, if you look at the states, there's a lot of state maps going up right now with red versus blue, and a lot of people are saying, well, now I know where we're not going to travel to for a vacation this year. And it's basically, if you look at it, I should have done better homework, but how many blue states there actually were far outnumbered by the red states.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's no denying that the people that felt it in their pocketbook voted based on that. So maybe they weren't Democrats, voting for Trump because of that. So it could be either party. It's like if you're feeling in your pocketbook and you want to change, you're going to vote for the person, not your party necessarily. So there's no denying that. But the other thing I found interesting in some of the articles I was looking at was about, the messaging that gets put out there. And if you talk about what's quote unquote mainstream media, which would be CNN, MSNBC, and so on, versus Fox and similar stations, Fox covers a lot more ground. So their outreach is a lot bigger and wider than CNN and MSNBC.
What do you mean they cover ground? What does that mean?
In terms of the number of homes that they reach,
Oh, their viewership.
their viewership.
Oh, wow.
So I'm trying to I'm trying to find, but it's something like 3 times. Fox reaches 3 times more homes than CNN, for example. So obviously their message has a wider audience.
Do you think that's a cultural thing for Fox viewers, though, to be glued to cable news?
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, we each have our go-to stations to get news. So I tend to go CNN or MSNBC. I do check out Fox once in a while, but I can't listen to most of their people. One of the ones that I would listen to is Chris Wallace when he used to be on Fox. And he, for the past 3 years, has been on CNN. But I just read that he decided not to renew his contract. So he is quitting CNN. But it's not because of the station itself. Because he likes people at CNN. But for him, it was time for a change. He said he was looking for an independent platform like streaming or podcasting, because that tends to be where there's more kind of activity.
Yes.
CNN's viewership is dropping, MSNBC's viewership is dropping, Fox's is going up. So it's not like he's abandoning ship, but he thought, you know what, I've been doing this for so long, I want to try something new and challenging, for the years that I have left in this industry. So that's what he's doing, and which brings me to the point of when each of the candidates, Kamala and Trump, were going around doing interviews. So she did Fox, she did CNN or 60 Minutes, one of those, and he turned down the 60 Minutes interview. And people were like, well, why would you turn it down if you've got such a big audience? But instead, he went to what was people commented as like, oh, these random podcasts, but these are Joe Rogan, and there was another one, a younger guy, I don't know his name, but I don't know enough of them to know, but apparently they have big audiences, they have a big reach. So he was reaching out through different, not the mainstream ones, not the big boys. He was, very smartly trying to reach different audiences. Whereas on Kamala's side, that said, rather than reach out to the Democrats that felt abandoned, they were trying to go for the Republicans that are anti-Trumping, the anti-Trumpers, to try and win them over. So they said they were going after the wrong group.
Small audience.
Yeah.
And then you're like back to Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan has actually got the highest listenership for his podcast of all podcasters. He gets the highest salary. They've just renegotiated for a number of millions and multi-million-dollar contract for him. He's got a huge reach, as you say, and he was actually on for 3 hours with Rogan. 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then they had Musk on. Elon Musk was on that program too, talking for
Right.
3 hours, I think. So,
Yeah.
I agree with you. I guess, what I guess concerns me most is the emotional reaction from the side us that didn't win. And I see what I'm saying, going back to social media, it's very alarming to see how very, very, very upset everyone is. It's hard to listen, it's hard to watch continually, and it's still going on. There's still plenty of talk about it right now. But I did see Rachel Maddow, and I have seen the trickling of a number of messages and stories from different outlets, different podcasts, different social media sources that are saying, okay, this happened. Take your time to come back. Take your time to talk about it, almost mourn the loss of it in some ways. But the reality is, this was democracy in motion. We didn't like the result at all. But
Well, there's always going to be one side that doesn't like the result.
Yeah,
right?
but can you say, as before, when Trump did not win the previous election, he cried foul, and it was rigged.
Right.
Nobody cried foul this time, and I'm just trying to be a realist because I'm still emotional about it too. I'm very uneasy about what is going to happen, but also we can't project the future. The fact is, as Rachel Maddow said, okay, this happened. Deal with it in your own way. Take your time to come back to it. But now what? Now what are we going to do?
Right.
Are we going to regroup? Are we going to bury our heads in the hand? Are we in the sand? Are we all going to move to Canada? No, we're not. The reality is this is still a democracy. There is a process in place for things to happen, and you can't just assume the very, very worst. You can absolutely be prepared in the back of your mind for what could happen, but we have no idea yet what could happen.
Yeah.
Basically, I think he wants to make his family rich and himself richer. So I'm assuming a lot of his legislation is going to gear himself to making him a much richer person and giving his family a lot more money.
Well, so here's interesting. So for the people that did vote for him, they're expecting certain things to happen to make their lives better, right? So if he doesn't follow up on some of those things, the low-hanging fruit that's going to impact their lives, then hopefully they will hold him to the fire and, press him. Don't know.
Yes. Well, unfortunately, yes, I agree with you. The thing is, with his previous presidency, he played the blame game when things didn't happen. So rather than taking ownership of not getting something done, like paying for the wall that he tried to build that never got built and was never paid for, he blamed it on someone else. And I guess that's hopefully, I agree with you. I think that the low-hanging fruit that needs to come back, this whole discussion about tariffs and things that he might do that's going to increase the cost of living and make it even harder for people to buy things. We'll see.
I forget after he won in 2016 what the makeup was for the Senate and the House, like which party controlled both. But now with this win, Republicans have this majority in both houses.
Yep. Yep.
Right. So unless there's a bunch of Republicans who don't agree with him on certain things and vote against him on certain, policies, he can't use the blame game to say, oh, well, it didn't pass because of the Senate or because of the House.
Yes.
It's going to depend on what it is.
And also, I'm hopeful because what I do believe we do need also is we need another beacon of hope in government from the Democratic side. We need more people that are standing up, more people that are younger, that have a passion for government, so we can see somebody rising up. Because again, there'll be another election in 4 years.
Well, and they always say at the 2-year mark, that's when there could be changes in the House and Senate, depending on how the first 2 years go.
Right.
Right. That's what happened in 2022. Was that they expected a big red wave, and it was a blue wave.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I'm not trying to be insensitive at all about what we're going through or what any of us
Right.
individually is going through. I just think that to be realistic, it was, as I said, it was a conventional process to vote who was going to be the president, and it happened.
Right.
We're not happy with the result, but we can't stick our heads in the sand, go crying into the corner, and start, trying to move to another country. Doesn't work.
And clearly, the Republican side did a much better job of speaking to the people, reaching out to them, listening to them, and their message. Whereas they said that on the Democratic side, they just weren't doing that. What is the line is, Jen Psaki admits Dems made a mistake by trying to reach never Trump voters and ignoring disaffected Democrats.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Because they thought if we go after them, then we'll be good. And it's like, yeah, but you ignored your base. You ignored the people that put you there in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a whole bunch of conversations about what they need to do to get back on track, because they are off the track big time.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was one quick thing about that Kamala thought that 2028 would be her time to run, maybe not knowing this would happen this year, right? It's like, well, that's not going to happen. So they're already looking at who are some potential candidates for 2028.
That's my point. Like,
Yeah.
hopefully something will rise. Some people will start rising up as
Yeah.
as new, fresh blood to keep it invigorated.
No, that's important, but also the getting the right messaging out and connecting with the people so that they feel heard
Yep.
and understood, and that they're part of the process.
So, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Initially you had definitely made a statement with social media for yourself,
Yeah.
and do you feel like you're going to keep that going for a little while? Do you think-
It was just a timeout for me. I mean, I'll
Okay.
I'll definitely go back. And I think it's probably good for everyone just to take a break now and then, and it could be for another reason, right? For me, it just happened to be this. It was just like I just need to like pull the covers over me, but yeah, no, I'll be back soon. I mean, I'm still tuning in to check other people's messages. I just haven't posted anything
Right.
since last week, so it's only been a week.
Yes.
So I thought, like I was talking to John the other day, and he goes, like, when are you going to come back? I go, well, I'll target maybe Thanksgiving, which is only 2 weeks away.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, oh, maybe not to the end of the year? Like, I don't know. I mean, I think it was so funny. After I did that, people saw that as very dramatic. So friends of mine would like text me or email me like, are you okay? Someone said the other day, oh, to get over rage, this is what you didn't need to do. I'm like, I don't have any rage. I just needed to,
Tune out.
disconnect for a little bit, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's a little mental, well-being, mental
I
wellness.
agree, and I think back to the messaging that's coming out there too. I still a huge amount of messaging coming through social media talking about, all these doom and gloom messages about what's going to happen, and what happened with Hitler and all these other like very high drama messaging. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, Because for me, and I would be the same way. I might trickle off of social media because I don't need to read that continually. I know where my head's at. I think we're both level-headed people, and we come to terms with the reality of what this is. And again, moving forward, how do you want to deal with it? Yes, getting off of social media is one way to do it. I think there's nothing wrong with it. It's actually not a bad thing to take a break, I think.
Yeah.
So I think you need to ease back in when you're ready.
Oh yeah, and it'll be soon.
Okay.
I'm not gonna draw this out because, like a lot of people, we're resigned to the fact this is what's going to happen, and now what can we as citizens do when we see something or feel something is not right?
I think we put it to our leaders in politics to fight for what we believe is right. Still, politically, they need to go in, and there are ways to do that. There are ways to cast your vote. There's ways to organize. There's a lot of different ways to do it. It's just
Right.
like I think everyone has to get the tears out of their eyes to move forward.
Yeah, no, for sure. And just like here locally, we had the mayor race, and we have a new mayor who will be who
Was London
elected.
up for re-election? Forgive me
Yeah,
for
she
not
was up
knowing.
for re-election,
Okay.
and she lost.
Okay.
There were 5 main contenders. It was her, 3 men who either are current or previous supervisors, so they've been in politics, local politics, quite a while.
Okay.
And then the guy that won, Daniel Lurie, who they always referred to him as the heir to the Levi Strauss family because his mother married into that family. So he had a lot of money, So people say, oh, he bought his election, whatever. But the point is that his main thing is accountability, and there's a lot of waste within local city government, like in a lot of cities. So among the other big topics that it needs to handle and address, like homelessness and how dirty the streets are and so on, is tightening the belt and cleaning house and making people accountable for what they do. And I think on a grand countrywide level, it's the same thing that the states have to pull together and hold themselves and others accountable.
Yes.
So yeah. That's my story.
So I mean, I think we're all still reeling a bit from it. I don't know what to expect. I will not be glued to the television watching what's happening. I will not be watching continuous news articles about the incoming presidency. I won't be watching that. I will be paying attention to written articles. I'll be more attention to written than I would to media, because media tends to sensationalize things and get people heated. That's why I do like people like Rachel Maddow, who is very factual. I mean, we got to find a way to get through this without panicking.
What's interesting is one of the things I read is that from election night and then through the end of that week, both CNN and MSNBC saw a drop in viewership,
Yes.
because at the people that are tuning in, it's like I stopped tuning in that week because I didn't want to hear again the pointing fingers and this and the remarks against Trump. He's this, he's that. Okay, we've heard all that. We need to move on, and people just got tired of it, so they're tuning out big time.
I read that same or saw that same article
Yeah.
because it was interesting to see how massively people dropped off. They just don't.
They said that the Friday night of that week, they said, there's a MSNBC, Alex Wagner Tonight, Andrea Mitchell reports, Chris Jansing reports, Deadline White House with Nicole Wallace, Joy Reid Show, The Readout, and The Last Word, Lawrence O'Donnell, all had their smallest audiences of the year on that Friday. Because by then, people are like,
Yeah.
move on. I mean, we're tired of it. We're tired of hearing about it.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why again, remember, cable television is 24/7. I'm sorry, cable news is 24/7. So people can watch it, and some people do somehow, and I think and I know it has some kind of effect psychologically on people too, because it's the same message. If you think about what you said, people watch.
Oh yeah, if you watch 3-4 shows in a row on the same network, it's like the
batting
same
you over the head,
stories.
batting you over the
Yeah.
head, batting you over the head with negativity, or pointing at other people, like, this is what happened, this is what happened. Said, okay, form your own opinion, people. Everyone form your own opinion. You know, don't be fed the opinion.
One thing that was interesting was how the delivery of news has changed over the years. So when we were growing up, it was the three major networks and newspapers, right? So newspapers like New York Times, Washington Post, blah blah. They were all Chicago Tribune. They were all the papers, and then you had the three major networks, and then, you know, it was a new thing when CNN came on the scene because 24/7 cable news. Oh my goodness, you could get it immediate, and it grew from that, and then Fox, and so and then all the different personalities that come with it. Some of which are legitimate journalists, and others are pundits and you know whatever. But so that grew super big. But now, it like in Fox, what they got rid of Tucker Carlson and all these others, and same thing with CNN dumped Chris Cuomo and Don Lemon, among others. So ratings were falling, or for whatever reason, they got dumped, and some of them are finding new life in podcasts and streaming and online versions of giving out the news, and then they find their audience there. It's like Megyn Kelly and probably Tucker Carlson are ones that have done well in on that format.
I just saw him interviewing Elon Musk recently. So
Right. So it's just interesting how, you know, how many newspapers are there anymore?
So
You know, they still exist, but they don't carry the cachet that they used to.
Right. Well, they're still getting paid to do the podcast.
Yeah.
Not as much as we're getting paid to do our
Well,
podcast.
you know, we can't all make the big money.
So I guess another question for you. Like, how do you feel... Not how do you feel about it? I know we all know how we feel. I think we both know how we feel about it. But, like, what are you thinking about the future, though? What do you think?
Well, you know, the big talk in the mainstream media was this, when the whole thing about Project 2025 came out, this thing that, they're going to, he said he had nothing to do with it, has no knowledge of it, but then he's friends with all the authors, and how much of that is really going to, you know, come into reality, and how he wants to, you know, make this a dictatorship and never, you know, be the president for as long as he lives, and, you know. There are checks and balances, right? I mean, there are three branches.
There's a democracy in place.
So that was interesting. So, for example, the big thing was on day one, he's going to do a massive, you know, deep dive on deportation, of getting rid of. They're going to start with the ones who have criminal records, but you know, if you're here illegally, you're out of here. They said, well, one, how are you going to do that?
Yeah.
Two, how much is it going to cost? How much time is it going to take? So it's so big and convoluted that it's not you just don't sign a document and then it's done.
Right. So again, I can just I'm not going to be following him. I won't be watching him on the news. I won't be doing that. But I can anticipate the blame that will be cast forward when things that he said he was going to do can't get done, because it is not a dictatorship. It is a democracy, as I said a few times. Things have to go through a process to happen. This might be a concern. And what is interesting, back to your other point, was when things start to not happen that he said he was going to do, then what? So hopefully some of the credibility will deteriorate as people question, hopefully, and start getting smart again and listening to facts and seeing what's actually happening in front of them.
Right. I mean, facts obviously are important, but if you're not listening to a network that's giving you facts, you're going by what they're telling you.
Do you ever listen to PBS?
Not too often, but yeah. I mean, they
quite
are
good.
Yeah.
They're quite unemotional. They're quite factual. They're fact-based. So, and BBC is also the one too.
Right.
They're not.
I think I need to be more highbrow and go BBC and PBS.
I think you do too.
Everyone can use a little highbrow in their lives.
I was going to get my brows done, actually.
Yes, well, you should.
On that note, what else?
On that note, no, I think that was it. We just want to touch base on this. I mean, you know, we're all going through this together, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, and I mean, we all want the president to succeed. Now, what that means in terms of what his plans are and what goes into effect, that's a different story, because there is certainly a lot of fear of some of the things that he may do And that's where the fear comes in.
Yes, and again, that's fear mongering in some ways, because again, from both sides, there's people saying, "Well, he's going to do what he said," and then there's the other side, the I guess the blue side that says, "Oh my God, he's going to do what he said." Come on, let's be real. It doesn't happen like you just said. Nothing just happens because someone says something or snaps their fingers.
Right.
So I think we need to stay calm. I think we need to start thinking about what we can do to stay positive, but also putting accountability on our representatives also.
Right. For sure.
Yeah. So shake it off, Taylor Swift.
Just shake it off.
But I'm glad we did this, Gary. I thought it'd be good to us get our opinion out there in the ether also, because I want to make sure we turn this episode around quickly, since it's very topical right now, and we did talk about putting out.
We did.
So we're gonna be
we will.
We're gonna be putting out right away. So I'm gonna turn this one around. We'll probably do this one next. We'll probably get this one out next.
Okay.
So do you want to close it down, or is there anything else you want to cover?
No, I think we're good. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it. We would love it if you would keep in touch through Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. As Don has said, comment and like and subscribe. Send us an email, donandgarydoing60@gmail.com. And if you have ideas for topics, or you know someone would like to be a guest, reach out to us.
Oh,
they don't all have to be people we know from high school.
No, they don't, but there are going to be some more, because I've already got them queued up, ready to go. So what's kind of fun is people do want to do it, and it's fun to talk about. So I really love, and I give you full credit for coming up with this segment, because it's actually a really great way to keep in touch with people and see how they're doing. But also, bigger message, like, how are we doing? How are we doing after 40, 50, and 60? How are we doing?
Right.
Maybe this is going to be a topic now that comes up with the new presidency coming, that people want to talk about that a bit too. So I don't think this discussion is done yet.
Oh yeah.
But there'll be more, and there are definitely more guests lined up, and we've got a couple queued up already. So I'm very excited.
All right.
Okay. Well, again, I said I'm Amanda Hug and Kiss, and you are
Lavica Trickelson.
you were Lavica Trickelson last time.
Oh, okay. Teresa Renteria.
Okay.
These are all Carol Burnett jokes. I mean, you have to be old enough to remember them.
Okay, well. Anyway, it was good talking with you, Gary. Thank you for sharing. Thanks for the all the facts. That was really very enlightening. So.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I guess we'll be in touch next time, everybody. Stay tuned. We'll be there right away.
All righty. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.